I'm Krystal Blackard.
And I'm Lindsay Reynolds.
We're seekers of truth, willing to ask the hard questions and cut through the industry smoke.
On Simplified Success, the podcast, we strip sales and marketing down to what actually works, front end to back end, so you can scale without the burnout.
Because real growth isn't just about numbers. It's about optimizing how your business runs so you can grow yourself, grow your paycheck, grow your team, and grow your leadership.
And most importantly, making it all happen without the fluff or the chaos.
This is Simplified Success. Wow, what an honor to be able to sit down with Nicky and Dave Rempel, two people that I have just absolutely enjoyed a friendship and a relationship with over the last decade. Their commitment to being raw and authentic to their story and to who they are, and to be honest about the places that God has led them is absolutely inspiring. And I appreciate you guys listening to this, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to really just let their journey sink in. Because this is one of those stories that but God. And that's the only way. And so I just want to give a special thank you to my friends, Nicky and Dave, for trusting me to interview them and to bring this story to life. And Lindsay, what a cool thing to have them as our first podcast guests. So talk a little bit about the resources and...
Yeah, so we're super excited because like we've talked about, we have our Untangle journal. It's something that'll walk you through if you're walking through something similar, or even if it's not the same thing and you just know you have something that's heavy, you're carrying, it's just, you feel the junk. It's a great resource, and we're really excited about what's going to be coming from a guest perspective moving forward. So we talked about this when we started the first episode, but we want to make sure you guys know kind of the trajectory of where the podcast is going. And so Krystal and I, we're going to be here. We're going to have, we call them solo podcasts, which is both of us anyways, but you're going to have lots of just us. And then we're going to keep bringing different people like this into this space. And so we have a pretty good stack already ready to go. And so you'll be seeing those trickling in. And we're just so excited that we get the opportunity to share these incredible people with you. And as always, we want your feedback. I will say we've gotten some podcast feedback through the podcast catcher, and we can't see who you are, and we can't see what you're like. We can see what you're saying, but I can't reply to you. So if you're going to give us feedback, we'd love to have you guys give us a review. But more than anything, well, that would be great. Please do that. And then by all means, like, our inboxes are open to you. So whether you use social media, you can find us from the Simplified Success podcast on Facebook, Instagram, or Krystal or I personally. We want to know what you guys think. We want to hear how it's going. And if you're going through the journal, you're going through that process, get into our Simplified Success community. That has a ton of other education in there, tons of other resources, tons of other amazing people, but we're in there a lot. So if you guys have questions, if you want feedback, if, man, you just want to go in there and just ask for help, like that space is our free gift to you, and a place where it's very near and dear to our heart. We keep it safe, so if people aren't acting appropriately or it isn't a safe place, they'll be removed. So we're very serious about that space. But man, we would love to have you in there, and we'd love to have you engage with us in there. So please, by all means, connect with us all the ways. Make sure you're subscribing to the podcast, because what we have coming down, if you thought this was great, like, they're amazing. And all of our other speakers and the other guests we're going to bring on are at the same caliber. Those of you that are in TBA, you already have your backstage pass. You already have Nicky's video live, so you can go watch it if you haven't had a chance to check that out. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, TBA is the Builder Academy. It is a place for you, whether you're building your life, your business, or your legacy. There is tools, resources, and support. That's really where we walk alongside people. We do implementation calls, but specific to this podcast, they get backstage passes to hear content and information that was curated specifically for them from those guests. And so there's some really crazy actionable things that Nicky shared that are specific for our TBA members. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to that, get over to your backstage pass. If you go into your Facebook group, Go into the guides. You'll see it right there. And if you haven't had a chance to join TBA, it is going up in price at the end of December. So depending on when you're listening to this, you can join at any point. But if you've been on the fence, now is the time. So you can check that out in the show notes. We're super excited to have you guys on the podcast always. And we can't wait for you guys to see what's coming next. So we hope you guys have a great day. Yeah, we'll talk to you soon.
Bye. Okay, we're back. Episode 2. So excited. As we promised, we have Dave. And I'm really excited and honored, like I said, to have Nikki and now Dave. These guys have been friends of mine for over a decade. And they have 3 girls and I have 4 girls. And so we just have so much in common. So it's a tremendous honor.
Mainly estrogen.
Yeah, mainly estrogen. Exactly. That is spot on. And so if you guys are just tuning in, you need to make sure you go back and catch episode 1 where Nikki laid out the groundwork. And for those of you that are just jumping on to episode 2, episode 1 was powerful. So make sure you go back and listen to it if you're getting caught up. Those of you that are wondering, where's Lindsay? So Lindsay is with us here in spirit today. She could not make this episode live like we all could be. So here I am, but it's still K&L. All the things. And so sometimes we just divide and conquer. But it is a big honor to have Nicky and Dave Rempel here with me live in my office in Texas. They are from Canada, literally a different country. So this is just a really cool God moment. And so as we jump into episode 2, I am so excited because we get to have a man's perspective, which is really, really cool. And Dave is not just any man. He's a really cool guy. Like, you guys have seen that show, Ice Road Truckers. Dave is that's how Canadian he is. And I'm totally messing this up. And you're like, oh gosh, Krystal, please stop. But he's he's a man's man. He does scary things. And so he's a brilliant business mind. He's been behind Nikki. He's helped her in businesses and raising kids and been in the trenches with her. But you've also done a lot of other things on your own. You're very much, you grew up in a farm, you grew up in mechanics. Talk to a little bit, set the stage, tell us a little bit who you are for our viewers, because I think it's, you're obviously Nikki's husband, and that's really cool. But, Dave has his own identity, and he's been amazing at lots of other things. He's a professional athlete, like Nikki prefaced earlier. So talk to us a little bit about Dave. And Nikki, you can also jump into and just introduce Dave to the audience, and we'll get started.
Sure. Do you want to go ahead, or you want me just to dive right in?
Go ahead, yeah.
Okay, so Dave Rempel. I grew up in province of Alberta, Canada. If you're tuning in from the U.S., not sure where that's at, straight north of Montana, about 7 hours drive north of the Montana-Canada-U.S. border is where our home is, northwestern Alberta. Grew up on a small farm there, family farm, as a pig farm. And everything that goes along with farm life, you understand, hard work and discipline, getting up early, feeding the pigs in the morning, feeding the pigs at night, doctoring them, nursing them and all that stuff. And being on the farm, I found my way into taking things apart as a kid, mechanically, and trying to put them back together. So I kind of discovered my love for mechanics and motors on the farm, which led me into, after high school, my career as a heavy-duty mechanic, and that quickly grew into becoming a business owner. That for 26 years, I believe it was, when we sold our business at the age of 46. And I think in the first episode, Nikki talked about her network marketing career and kind of what that provided for us and at the time. So at the age of 46, sold my business off. I had
your mechanic business.
My mechanic business,
okay.
yeah.
What was it called?
It was called ProX Equipment Repair.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It continues on to today. It's actually, the new owners have grown it even larger than what I had it. So it's pretty cool to see something you started from scratch, still 30 plus years later, still going strong and vibrant, and they got a great staff over there. So it's cool to see that.
That's cool. And not to interrupt, but Dave is a very humble, very just like Nikki there, but he was telling us last night that he has actually worked on equipment that is actually driven across ice road truckers, and for somebody in Texas, that's just pretty stinking cool. So I'm just really fixated on that, and I had told my husband that story, and so Dave has done some really cool, challenging things. I don't want to but as we're sitting here talking, just to like emphasize the coolness of what your previous work is, and it wasn't just like little tinkering and mechanics. Like there was some pretty intense pressure on you getting it right.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I mean,
So,
like pretty big. It was a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we had great customers over the years, great clientele, and yeah, some of those customers, like sometimes they were just one off. I had done a single job for somebody that was rolling through town with a heavy truck. And I know some of them had talked about their experience in driving on the ice roads in northern Alberta and northern territories where they're hauling goods in the wintertime up to the...
So what's an ice road, Dave, for your viewers who...
It's a frozen lake.
For our friends here. It's
Yeah.
a frozen lake.
Yeah, so in the northern parts of our territories in Canada, there's a lot of gold and diamond mines up there and whatnot that have really only winter only access because the route there is not very, you can't get to it. It's mountains and it's bush and it's inaccessible.
Okay.
So they will build ice roads through the big lakes, freeze them in, and the big heavy trucks will drive heavy equipment on there, hundreds of thousands of pounds that they're convoying over these frozen lakes and rivers.
Frozen lakes, like water.
Like water, like small
Actual
seas
water.
or a small ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're deep, definitely deep enough that it's very dangerous. And so they have to navigate these things very carefully. And you've talked about the show, and they I think portray that on the. I haven't even seen the show, to be honest.
I've
but I
watched the
know
show.
of truck drivers that have driven on that on the show, and so they're hauling this equipment over there, having to be careful because it's tens of millions of dollars worth of equipment. They're bringing supplies in for the whole next year. They only have the winter season to do it.
So you have a short period.
A short period, yeah.
Right.
They don't we think of winter from November to April, but really the ice roads are, I don't even know for sure, but I'm going to say January to March, and after that it gets too warm. They got to start shutting down the roads because as it warms up, of course, the ice is going to thin out and it's too dangerous to drive on. So
yeah.
they have a very short window to get a lot of stuff moved in, fuel and supplies that's going to last the mine the whole next year.
Doesn't it sound like fun where we live?
And so, well, okay, and so
So cool.
So, and the reason I bring this up into the nuance of this story, because essentially, like, this is just a beautiful story that you guys have, and it's just the journey is just amazing, but I think that there is a little bit of a persona, and I want to break that here, that women who are in network marketing have husbands that have like manicured fingernails and just tend to the children, and I'm like, very much not. Like, Dave is very much a very manly man, hands-on, like, does, like, really crazy, scary things that, you know what I mean? So I want to just set that precedence, and that's the reason I wanted you to tell who you were.
Yeah.
Because obviously you're a girl dad, and you've got a sensitive, amazing side, I'm sure, but you've also done some pretty intense, like, just crazy things, and I think that's really what sets a yin to a yang, too, like, which makes us so compatible, are our differences. And so I would say in the world of business, you guys are so super compatible, but you've had such big differences too in what you've done, and I think it's cool to just put those two things together. So thank you for doing that introduction, Dave. It really sets the tone, and plus it's cool for our friends who are all along this journey with us to understand that Canadian lifestyle, because we live in little bubbles and we only know our little cultures unless we travel a lot. And I feel like I've known you guys for a long time, and there's just things that you're sitting here telling us about that I can't even imagine.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think that sets the stage. So you guys kind of have an idea of Dave. Dave is also a professional athlete. Is that fair to say, Dave? I think it's fair. I've known you for a decade. I'll say
It would
that.
be like a professional athlete.
An unpaid position.
Unpaid.
Unpaid. That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so tell us a little bit about your journey with that too, because I think that's really important to note for the story.
Yeah. So when I sold my business, this is going back probably 7 years now, maybe 8 years ago.
Maybe 8.
I had time on my hands, and so I was attending a gym, going to a gym, got into the sport of CrossFit, which is just a conglomerate of all different kinds of sports: weightlifting, gymnastics, running, endurance type things, all mixed into one. And so I was doing that after hours. When I sold the business, I moved my training time to daytime because I had daytime available, and so it kind of became a prime time of my schedule to do that. And so I was able to maximize the rest and recovery cycle. So I was able to train at a peak time for myself. And with that, I just had more time to do it. So I put more hours into it. and started to have some success in that area in different competitions. And so that success just kind of nurtured the desire to have more success and pursue higher levels. And I kept going to higher and higher levels and putting myself into difficult competitions to see where I matched up with other guys out there. I would compete against men in my age division around the world. It was a global landscape, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, over the years, I started to progress in that area and would fly down to different events. I went to some in Miami, San Diego, Phoenix, different competitions that you had to pre-qualify for. So when I qualified for them and went there, I was able to compete. And
So very much a competitive sport.
yes, very much. Yeah.
Okay, and that's really cool.
Yeah, so
and the kind of discipline that it takes to be able to go and conquer that world and have success in that world.
Yeah, it was easier in a way than working at minus 40, minus 50 through the winter outside. So maybe those conditions
Traded your hards.
Yeah. Trained me for that, prepared me for those things. But that's something I've always done, is put myself into, I think, hard situations to see what I was made of.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I know in running my business over the years, a small business owner, you kind of, especially in the beginning days, you want to take on whatever work you can to fill the schedule up. And there was things I had never worked on before. It had a diesel. I always thought if it had a diesel motor, I could figure it out, and that's kind of the mindset I had. I did a lot of work for many, many years for the local auction company up there that, of course, at an auction yard, they took on whatever. Everything showed up there. So you got to see all kinds of weird equipment and some people's homemade things that weren't quite running right. So I was the one that got called to go in and figure it out and get it running.
Yeah.
First of all, you have to figure out what's its purpose. What is this weird contraption some farmer put together to
So you very much have an engineer brain.
Yeah. So
oh, that's really cool.
I was able to repair those things and put myself in a hard situation. I never said no to any work like that.
Yeah,
So I
absolutely.
learned from it.
Yeah, a lot of grit.
A lot
And
of
probably a lot of it came too from your experience in the farming with your farm background. I think people that grow up in any sort of agricultural industry vicariously, I mean, we might be a little biased, but vicariously have a lot of grit.
Yeah, no, for sure. I was, just out with your husband this morning, and we were kind of roaming through the ranch, and I picked up very quickly that, you have to be a welder out here. You got to be, a construction worker, not just working with cows and horses, but all those things, a veterinarian. You got to be really diverse, and that was the farm for me, and that carried into the business, which some of that kind of carried into my sport.
Yes.
The sport was mixed of all kinds of different avenue or aspects, so I couldn't just focus in on one thing. I had to be kind of good at all of them.
Yeah, it's interesting. And it's interesting to see how it plays out too with your guys' journey in the network marketing. Because I know you guys have worked, just personally, I've seen you guys present on stage together, which is really cool. You guys have very much been an aligned husband and wife team for a very long time. And that comes with tremendous amounts of commitment and sacrifice. And sometimes it's hard. Because, when you're married, you don't always agree on everything, and then you've got to suck it up to make it for the good of the,
So true.
So a lot of those early things that you put in place early in life, and just in your parents and your family instilled in you too, have definitely played out. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So, well, okay. So where we were just, as we were talking through Nikki's journey and kind of going through the network marketing and that stuff, we landed at. So Nikki has been with 7 different companies, and first of all, we debunked the myth that if you have success in one company, you'll never have success again in another company.
One shot wonder.
Yeah.
One hit wonder.
She's not that one hit wonder from the 80s who had that really one cool song and then nothing. No. So it is possible to do that.
It is, for
right?
sure. Yeah.
And so a lot of to unpack in this story, and I definitely want to hear from you guys and your thoughts on this, is so when we left off was you guys were kind of in that middle ground. You had left a really good check. You were working on building a new one, and things just kind of got super murky and gray right there.
Yeah, I think where we left off, we were talking about how there was that in between. So I had done, the company I made a lot of money in, and then transitioned into the trading company, and then that didn't, it just wasn't the best fit for me. And then I moved into to these other companies and made some good money along in those years, and during that time, Dave was full on into his sport because he was now at home full time, and he was working towards going to the CrossFit Games, which would be like the Olympics.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right? It would be like, that's the only thing I can compare it to, is like you're the best in the world and you have to qualify to get there. And he had been, working for probably 3 hard years to get there.
At that point, maybe 7 or 8 years, but
yeah, but like
definitely
full time.
laser focus for a good 2 years.
Yeah, a good two years, laser focused, and he actually, got there. It was a lot of work and a lot of he finally qualified after a few years of trying to get there, and he didn't qualify. That last year, putting that last ditch effort, that last push, not ditch effort, but push to get there, and he got there. And so maybe we'll go from there about what that,
absolutely.
games.
Yep.
So timeline, when did we sell the business? 2017? Somewhere around there,
Yeah.
18? And I do know, so like I said, I went in more full time into training for that end goal of making it to the games. And at that time, it was like, one day that's my goal. Just throw it out real quick, like not really, okay, what's it going to take to get to that goal? I didn't really sit down and assess that, but it was like, that's the big picture goal, whatever we take to get there. I had a full-time coach, trainer at that time, and every year I got a little bit closer. There's a series of qualifiers to get there. So there's a worldwide open, they call it. Then it gets narrowed down into quarterfinals and then semifinals, and then the last group of 30 or 20 made it to the big show. And the World CrossFit Games, which is held once a year. And every year I kind of progressed a little bit further. I finished, maybe the top 200 and then the top 150, top 100, top 50. I was getting closer to making that top 30 sort of thing. And in 2021, I was in the qualifying spot. That year they took the top 20. I was in 19th place going into the very last workout. And I thought in my mind, it's mine to lose sort of thing. A little bit arrogant on that or cocky about it, I think. But at the same time, I was just full of nerves. I thought, you got this. It's yours to lose. Just don't screw it up. And sure enough, guess what happened last workout? I screwed it up. I had time to kind of redo because you have to do the workout, video it, and then you have a deadline to submit the video and your score. And I had time to actually repeat that work because I kind of came out with there's a lot of strategy in the sport, believe it or not, lifting weights. And so I could have redone my strategy, but I didn't even think about it. I was just so disappointed in my going out and hitting this last workout and just, it'll be more than enough to qualify. I didn't feel satisfied in it, but I thought, well, maybe it's good enough. I'll just submit the score the way it is. Turns out I finished in 21st place, missed it by 1 spot.
Oh, no.
So I dropped down a couple points. And I remember the day after that, realizing how I had slid down from 19 to 20, 21. I told myself that'll never happen again. Learn from this, That was a hard lesson because you work so hard. You only have a year. Now I have to wait a whole year, 365 days to try this again and go through all the first steps of qualifying to get to that last point to even have a chance. And so that's when I added in a few more layers. And for me, it was the mental side. I actually kind of drove her crazy, but I would write down every single day who I am. I am a CrossFit Games athlete. I am, the best at this. I am, whatever it might be. I call it my I am statements. I wrote that out, and I wrote down, what am I grateful for? I'm grateful for God for health and strength, for my family, for my wife, for the business, for the opportunities, like all these things. I wanted to make sure that I had my gratitude list. I had my I am statements. Every day I wrote that down. So I drilled that in, kind of manifesting the end goal in mind. And the next year's events, they actually changed the qualifications a little bit from the top 20 to the top 10. And I thought, that's fine. That's actually going to play in my favor.
Yeah.
Because I knew that within the top, let's say 30 or 50 guys in my group, I was going to be on the higher end of some of the strength events, and I can make it up in some of the other areas that I'm lacking in. And I just felt like there's something about that whole year. I just remembered so clearly that I just felt this, you are going to do this. Like this, there's no way. There's no way I'm not going to make it. I just felt that. Like it was just so strong in me that my energy around that was just so strong. And so in 22, I was kind of same sequence with through all these qualifiers. We come down to the last thing. There's the top 30 guys of whatever it was that started out that year, we were around 17,000 guys around the world my age. So we're down to the top 30 that are going for the final spot of the top 10. And I was in 5th place going into the last workout, so I'm well within there. And again, it's mine to lose, right? But I slipped down from 5th to 8th, so I made it. I qualified in 8th spot in the world.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was that, making it there.
Wow. That's an amazing story. So to say that you guys are both very competitive,
We're kind of driven.
is definitely an understatement.
Yeah.
So that's probably a very big strength, but probably also makes things kind of hard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Very hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was not an easy journey. It sounds like, I mean, it wasn't his what he was doing didn't make it easy at home, because I had to go full and hard into what I was doing. He had to go full and hard into what he was doing. And what we didn't realize at the time was what the separation that we were creating and what was happening in the moment. Yeah, I would say so.
Our pursuits were going this way, away from each other.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
the downside of it.
Yep, the downside of how
Yeah.
that works.
Well, and we both lack of God in our lives, not focusing on the right things. And yeah. So then he got to the games in 2022.
Yeah, 22. So I qualified. So then we had whatever it was, 6 or 8 weeks from when I qualified to when the games were going to happen. It was probably 10 weeks actually before I qualified, because I remember at around 8 week I was training. It was my last piece of my training session that day. I was training like 2+ hours a day, 6 days a week then. 3 times a week there was double sessions. I'd do a couple hour swimming session and then a gym session after that.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that all?
I ate a lot then, big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the last session, that particular day, training session, I had, we do a thing where a lot of skipping rope, and I was using a heavy weighted jump rope, and I was doing what we call double unders, so you're jumping and the rope passes twice underneath you, and my foot had caught it, and it pulled the handle out of my hand. When I landed, my foot must have landed on the handle, and it broke a bone in my pinky toe. I don't even know if you know about this yet, but because I really haven't shared this part of the story much ever publicly, but yeah, I broke a bone. I didn't know that. I was like, oh, it hurt, kind of rolled my ankle. Thinking, I'll just walk this off, right? I can tough it out.
Yeah.
And we went home and then woke up the next day and my foot's just swollen with pain. I couldn't hardly sleep all night. She's like, well, we better go get this x-rayed. So went to actually another town, because our hospitals could be hours and hours of waiting and emerge to get an x-ray. So we went to another area that we know we can get in quicker, and sure enough we did. And doctor came back, he said, well, your bones showed the x-ray, it's broken in half. And she was kind of explaining to the doctor what was coming up in 8 weeks. I'm going to the World CrossFit Games. He's like, no,
Well, he basically just said,
no, you're not.
yeah, he said, it'll heal on its own. We'll just, it's not a big deal. We'll put you in a boot and it'll heal on its own. And I was like, well, actually in 8 weeks, he can't. This isn't an option for him.
Right.
So they got him into surgery the next day.
Well, he said, hang on. He made some phone calls and called back to the main hospital in the city we're at. And he comes back and he says, okay, don't eat anything after 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. We're going to see the surgeon in the morning.
Oh, wow.
So I went to the hospital, saw the surgeon, more assessments, and he says, basically, you can leave it heal on its own, and it's going to take, 10, 12 weeks, whatever it might be. I didn't have that time. He said, or we could do surgery and put a plate in there, and it'll heal much quicker. So let's do that.
Okay.
And so he said, okay, well, see what we can do here. And that was in the morning, and then that night at 5 o'clock, I was in for surgery. So I got a plate put on my foot to heal that bone, and the next 6 weeks was upper body work. I couldn't put any load on my foot. I was in a boot and I was kind of limping around, and so just really didn't get to train for the CrossFit Games like I prepared for it, like I wanted to.
Yeah.
But we did what we could. There's typically a lot of running and swimming events at the games, and I really couldn't prepare for those at all. I couldn't go in the pool, couldn't run, obviously. And so I trained with what I could, and we went there. 8 weeks later, I was at the World CrossFit Games.
And then that's when you made the top 10?
yeah.
I had already qualified.
Yeah.
In
Oh, you already
in
qualified.
8th spot, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so we're at the games, and the opening event is an air bike, and then it's a weighted pull-up, which I felt would be fine because I'd done nothing about upper body work. And then it was a heavy front squat, like with a barbell rack on the front. And I really hadn't tested heavy loads like that on my foot. But again, I thought, it's fine. I'll figure it out. It'll be fine.
It's got metal in it. It should be.
Yeah,
should
it'll be fine. Yeah. I was kind of afraid in the back of my mind, what if I, lean over on that foot too much as I'm squatting up? Will it break that bond that's created? Because the bone was still not fully healed yet, so it's just kind of calcified over, and we knew that it would be probably close, but should be able to handle some load. And I ended up getting the heaviest front squat at the event of the other 10 competitors, and got second place in that that event.
Wow.
So I opened it up on a high. I was just pretty ecstatic. And then the next event was a major running event, and I hadn't run at all, and now at that point probably 10 weeks. So I really felt deconditioned for that. But that's just
Got through.
That's his goal. Let's send it and see what happens.
Yeah. Oh wow.
So anyway, so I did the running event. It didn't work so well for me. I ended up in last place in that event. But that's fine. I just felt like that was going to be the one event I'm going to have to throw out, and I'm going to have one bad event here, and that'll be the one. So let's just toss that out, and we'll get on to the next ones. And the next event I felt was going to shape up to be in my favor. It kind of had a lot of the things that I'm good at, so I thought that'll be a good one. But right after the second event, keeping in mind this is in Madison, Wisconsin, 2022, humidity was 100%. Horrible. It was crazy high humidity.
Yeah.
It was probably 100 Fahrenheit or more. And I was just depleted out after this running event outside, just drained of all fluids, and we had to hurry up and get into our opening ceremony outfits they had set aside for us. They do an opening ceremony just like you would see at the Olympics. All the countries march out together and as a country, and of course Canada's lined up near the front with Australia
being a
alphabetical. Yeah, exactly. And so they're like, come on Dave, you gotta hurry up, your country, Canada's lining up, you gotta get going. And I'm looking around, I'm just dying of sweat trying to decide how am I going to change out of my workout outfit into these nice dry clean clothes though, trying to put in stuff on a sticky body. And I seen a bunch of ice baths sitting up outside the venue. I thought, I'm going to hop in an ice bath and cool off. So I did. I just dove into this ice bath. Imagine your body temperature through the roof, and you're hopping in, you're just, oh, that's cold. And really shocked the heart, got everything going, and was able to cool down a little bit, got changed into opening ceremonies, come back, and started to warm up for the third event, which is going to happen in another hour or so. And I was walking over to the warm-up area, and all of a sudden I was just kind of losing my balance. My left side had gone weak. And somebody asked me, Dave, how's it going? I was just slurring my words like I had been drinking all day. I remember thinking, like, what's going on here? And my coach is right there, and he's like, hey, let's just sit down here. Sit down, Dave, for a second. And he's called the medical team over. Then there's a doctor and a nurse there. They come running over. They're right on me right away. So I'll hand that out to the CrossFit Games for being fully prepared.
Wow. And
I remember my coach saying to him, I think he's having a stroke. And I'm like thinking in my head, no, I'm just tired. Like I always just did that hard event. I'm just wiped out. I need to gather my senses here a little bit. Anyways, they're laying me down. Next thing I know, I'm on a gurney. I'm on the back of a golf cart getting catered out to the waiting ambulance, because the big events, they had an ambulance on site. And I'm in the ambulance, and I remember hearing the guy saying, where should we go? This one, or let's go to St. Mary's. They got a really good stroke unit over there. And I'm thinking, these guys are serious about this stroke thing. And then they're putting an IV in me, and he said, I'm just going to get a clot buster in you. And I was off to the hospital. And
so were you there? Were you?
Yeah, I at that point got just before he got into the ambulance. Well, right after the stroke had happened.
So you were at the games?
Yeah, I was at the games with two of my kids.
Okay.
Yeah. We got a phone call. We were actually just waiting for him to come out onto the next event. We were sitting waiting for him, and I got a phone call from his coach, and it just basically said, you need to come and hurry. Dave's had a stroke, and we're taking him in the ambulance. And I mean, I thought I really didn't think I heard him right. And I'm like, what? He had what? He's like, he had a stroke. And so me and the girls go running, and I just remember just the chaos of it all. And
right.
We made it to the ambulance before he pulled away, and the ambulance driver just said, follow me to the hospital. And so we followed him to St. Mary's, and And we won't go into detail. Like we could spend 20 minutes here telling you
talking about
the detail of what happened at the at the hospital. But it was essentially the neurosurgeon was, you know, it was just a really miraculous, really, because the neurosurgeon was there, the neurologist or the anesthesiologist, and all the stroke team was there, basically not knowing he was coming, but waiting for somebody to come in with that had a stroke that needs to go into brain surgery.
I just rolled right in. Like,
yeah. And I got there just moments after him. I had to park the car, but by the time I got in, you know, the neurosurgeon was pulling me into a room just to tell me what needed to happen. Here's your two options. What do we need to do? And Dave was in brain surgery within moments.
I didn't know you had brain surgery.
37 minutes from my coach saying, I think he's having a stroke to I'm getting brain surgery done.
Yeah.
By one of the top stroke surgeons in the U.S.
Yeah.
Wow. So you were at the right place at the right time.
Yeah. We were about a 5-minute drive from the hospital.
Yeah.
Wow.
Where we were at. So it was pretty miraculous what happened there.
So where did they go into the brain at?
They go in through my groin. Did a thrombectomy. Goes around the heart and into the brain. And it's all done, I find out this afterwards, it's all done by feel. So he's kind of like just feeding this catheter up your veins and does kind of clears it out.
Yeah.
They had done a CT scan, so they knew exactly where it was and exactly what they had to do, and how they can manipulate that thing all the way up there, I don't know, but
it's crazy.
He did it. He did a bang up job.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't realize all that. I didn't know that you'd had brain surgery.
Well, I didn't know this till afterwards.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah.
I mean, and because for me the whole time, nothing hurt. I wasn't ever in pain or discomfort. I just felt a little bit like I had too many drinks.
I think that's kind of what strokes are. I don't think they're painful. I just think, it's
and I didn't recognize it at all. But luckily my coach did, you know. You recognize that? They called the doctors in and right away it just moved very quickly in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, very miraculous.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty big, paradigm shift for you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously that's a pretty major life event, a big trauma.
Yeah.
Trauma to you physically, mentally, emotionally at the games. I mean, it's a pretty, you were there, the kids were there. So take us down that path. Let's just unpack some of that.
Well, you know, up to this point, so, I mean, Dave and I had been married 28 years? 29, 30. Yeah, 28 years. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it never was perfect, but we had a decent, you know, marriage. We had, you know, we had, I'd say, some really good years. But I remember laying in the ICU, and because I knew how hard he worked to get there. I knew that just like I had worked in my business, parallel. Mm-hmm. If somebody took, you know, when your business is just taken away, it's devastating, right? Mm-hmm. I had done, in the same way he had worked to get to the CrossFit Games, and so I just remember thinking, what is this going to look like when he wakes up? When he actually realizes what just happened, because he had worked so hard to get there. And, you know, actually every time the nurse or the doctor came into the room and asked him why he was here, he's like, I don't know. They'd say, well, he had a stroke. He's like, no, I didn't. You know, it was very hard for him to
honestly, I was in denial for probably months. Probably 3 months later before I realized back at the gym I even had a stroke. Because, again, nothing hurt. It felt fine. Get these wires off me. I'm going to go back to the games.
And I think it was all here. He didn't want to admit it here because it would mean that something was going to change. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Something was going to be different.
A big catalyst.
And and he had worked so hard to get there.
For sure.
And so I just think that there was, but I just remember because I, you know, watching him and watching what it took for him to get there, thinking, because just like we explained if you were on our last podcast that I explained, it kind of became my identity. Mm-hmm. My business became my identity, became my everything, right? And I had completely submersed my whole self into it. Same Dave had completely submersed his whole self into his CrossFit. Mm-hmm. And I can remember thinking, what is it going to look like when he realizes that his body's probably not going to perform like it used to? Mm-hmm. I didn't know for sure because no doctor had said that, but I'm thinking he's had a stroke, things are going to be different. And when he realizes that dream and that goal that he had for so many years was now just wiped out from underneath him. Mm-hmm. And now you're older, it's going to be harder to catch back up again. And I just remember thinking all those things and thinking, what is that going to look like? What's life going to look like when we get home? And we probably went home about 10 days later. It's pretty miraculous.
We left the hospital in 4 days later.
Yeah, 4 days later.
Yeah, I just had to pass all their tests and everything was good. Like it was.
Yeah, like he literally looked like he hadn't had a stroke by the time we left the hospital, which was completely miraculous. But yet, you know, what we didn't realize is what was coming later, and you know, I let Dave share a little bit more about what maybe mentally went on for him, but what we didn't know was, you know, even though he looked normal and people were so excited for him, and we were so excited as a family that, you know, he wasn't going to be paralyzed. He was going to, because he had a massive stroke. And, but the emotional part is what, you know, was really probably was what happened later.
Yeah, and I think depression can appear differently for everybody. There's no cookie cutter, oh, that's depression. You know, it can be manifest different ways for different people. For me, it wasn't until weeks later, maybe even months later, because I wasn't going back to the gym right away. You know, most maybe stroke patients, doctors' instructions are you need to start exercising a bit more. We're going to get into physio and start moving the body more. My instructions were you need to exercise less. You need to do it not as much.
Yeah.
And so we did that.
Do they think that the training on spurred, like, was it kind of
There is no, because you're doing this, that could have caused that.
Okay,
The only thing that, when we got back to Canada, my file was transferred back to the neurologist and cardiologist at our local university hospital. Went and saw them and doing assessments. When I relayed this story that, you know, I was trying to cool down in that moment, I hopped in this ice bath and like, you did what? That was kind of a shocker a little bit.
Yeah.
Because that could have put my heart into AFib, which they picked up in the ICU the night after surgery. They said, hey, we noticed your heart went into AFib. Have you ever had that before? I'm like, I don't know what that is. Like, what do you mean? No.
Right, yes.
I trained so hard, my heart, it wasn't unnormal for my heart rate to be very, very high, like 200 beats a minute plus at my age. And so for me to feel like it's ticking a little bit off, I wouldn't have noticed that.
Yeah.
But it may have been. Anyways, it's possible that ice bathing, my genetics, my situation of the day, you know, I'm not saying ice baths are bad. I'm definitely not saying that.
No. Which is the perfect storm.
It's a perfect storm. It could have done that. We think it could have. And so AFib could cause the heart to go into AFib, and then the blood pools, and it could create a clot. There's a lot of coulds, a lot of maybes.
Yeah.
And so we're just trying to, you know, recreate the whole thing, and like the chances of all those things lining up again are very, very rare.
Very rare, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm actually at a very low risk of it reoccurring because of that.
Yeah.
And so, not worried. I'm on a blood thinner now just to kind of protect.
Right.
In case the blood does want to clot for some reason.
Right.
But anyways, that's kind of some ifs and some maybes that we're not sure about.
But I would say it was like, you know, so earlier in our other podcast, we were talking about how, you know, life took a turn. You know, how hard this was, and it took a turn, and
A hard
turn. And like Dave said, depression can surface for people in so many different ways. And to be honest, I didn't notice it with Dave at first, because we had a lot of people visiting him, a lot of people coming to see him. And, you know, without getting into too much of our story, I would say it was probably about 6 or 8 weeks in that I really started to notice some things with Dave and became quite concerned about what I seen in him. And it took a huge spiral down a really, really dark, deep, probably 2 years. Say it was about 2 years.
Yeah. I guess where I got off track there was going to 6 or 8 weeks later after coming back from the games is when I kind of got back into training, because I was getting bored just doing nothing at home, recovering. And so went back to the gym, just did some very light getting back into training again, easy stuff. And that's when I noticed I tried to do some bench pressing and my left arm wouldn't move, my right arm would move fine, but the left, just nothing happened. It's like, what's going on? Like, I could see I'm still just as strong as I was before, but the brain wasn't able to fire those muscles anymore. Like, all the wires got unplugged. And so it was like my left side that got affected. And that's when, kind of going back into the gym, I discovered, oh yeah, I had a stroke. This is the effects.
So you really started to own that, walk in that truth.
Yeah. And I actually was embarrassed of myself. I felt shame here I am, this great, accomplished athlete that can't even
Yeah.
do what I thought was a simple weight on the bench press or whatever it might have been. But there was numerous things I was trying to get back, because I wanted to get back to where I was, not just back to baseline of a healthy 51-year-old.
Right.
I wanted to be the elite athlete I was.
Right.
And I just couldn't get there fast enough. And so, yeah, it was
Frustration.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then pairing with it, like all of the just the craziness of life and
Right.
and
now,
businesses and
all of a sudden, everything came to a complete stop.
yeah.
Right. So Dave's went from a very busy training schedule to not even just training schedule, like nutrition and all the things that it took to get there as like a professional athlete. Like it's
Right. There's a lot of moving parts. Yeah.
No.
Right.
And if if I think about it, during that time, of all that time, it was we became our own gods, right? And so back to like, there was a lot of pressure. Also, I was running a business at the time that actually had shut down.
Okay.
That now was gone away. So that's another thing in this industry. Sometimes the businesses, it's not you that stops them; they just stop.
Oh, so you were with a company then that shut,
Yeah,
literally
so
the company
here-
shut its doors.
Shut its doors.
Oh, you've been through the gamut.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so here we are. I'm the one financially providing for the family. Dave is a full-time athlete doing his thing. And I'm just excited that he got there because, you
Right,
know what, he'd been
right.
working so hard to get there.
Well, he'd supported the family for the first the first part, and
Yep.
then with his
You switched
businesses, and
roles.
he switched roles, and yeah.
Yeah. And so now I have to pivot really quickly. Meanwhile, I know my husband's falling into a deep, deep, dark place. And so I have to pull everything together to find another company to start back up again and to get that finances going and so that we can
So
survive
finding
it.
the bandwidth to do
and
that.
and the stress that it put between us was huge. And so I couldn't figure out why he his brain is obviously working differently. He had a stroke. I couldn't figure out why he's not rushing in to save the day and help. And it was the start of a very, very dark 2 years. And many poor choices made, and just many things happened and seen that it's just crazy because we had been married for 28 years and we were pretty normal. Like our kids were raised in a very normal.
I felt like you were very normal. In fact,
Right.
I felt like, just to speak from an outsider's perspective, because I saw you guys and we've traveled the world together. We've talked about this. We've been in lots of different countries together. I really felt like you guys were very much a role model couple.
Yeah.
And so I think because again, we're debunking things.
Yeah.
Even couples who have the strongest foundations can go through really shaky, hard times together.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to, I think that it's also really important to call out the really big shifts, because having a life-threatening event such as a stroke is a pretty big life-altering event.
Yeah.
Like it or not, this is what you've gotten stuck with, and as you spoke to, like, puts you guys in a season of very dark with your relationship, and
Very dark.
I think venturing to say that it maybe almost didn't make it.
No, it almost
Yeah.
didn't make it. It was, I mean, it came to the place where I had to leave and move
So you guys
out.
did have to separate.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I had gone from, in a way, I had gone from living for myself for a couple of years to make it to the CrossFit Games to living for myself for whatever that reason. I had no end goal on it. Just I was living for myself because that was the pattern I had driven in, and that pushed her away.
Well, and I think, just speaking to like the man's side of the journey, because we very much heard from Nicky's side, and to definitely put it into perspective, it's hard when your wife is building a network marketing company.
Yeah.
And you were very much hands-on, because you were on stage with Nicky and you showed up like you were like the husband that every other girl in network marketing wanted, like that was supportive and was there and doing it with her. But it doesn't take away the fact that it's hard, and it's hard to compete, and there's lack of time, and there's lack of attention, and then we get out of sync and out of balance, right?
Yeah.
And so
Totally.
speak to that from your perspective. I mean, because I think the goal here is not like just really being candid and debunking some of the things and talking through some of the really hard places and understanding
Yeah.
But then getting back to like the good, which you guys are now, because it's definitely it's
And
a cool
even
journey.
I think I like what you're saying, but even I think that as a man and a woman, I think sometimes it might be hard for a man to see that his wife is the one providing, right? And
Yeah.
I don't know, like to me, I think that probably is, and I've seen that over the years that I think it's been hard. It's not been an easy journey for either of us.
Yeah, I mean, and through all that, I had projects I was doing, because I'm a hands-on guy, like farmer, mechanic.
Yeah.
So I work with my hands, I build things, do stuff. And I had put all those things up on the shelf for going to the gym and training, just making that my singular focus. And that in itself wasn't healthy. And therefore, it just put more pressure on Nikki to perform. And, we still owned our commercial business, our property that we had rented out. And keep in mind, this is 22, so this is right in the middle of COVID.
Oh yeah.
And
The post-COVID craziness.
we had vacancy for over a year, so I still have a mortgage on that building, so we're, trying
Feeding from home to hold on to
robbing
the
from
building.
Peter to pay Paul to keep that, that asset going strong. And it was so hard to get tenants during that time frame, which I don't blame. Why would somebody want to sign a long-term lease on? We don't know what's going to happen. Is the world going to crash tomorrow? We didn't know. It was all fear.
Right.
And so a lot of that COVID fear, and for me it was madness, also crept in. I allowed all of that to anger me, and in the midst of trying to restore myself to health, I was financial stressors and burdens on, I guess the economic burdens, let's just call it that. And so there was all these different layers to it that became this perfect storm of just craziness. And so I was angry on the inside. I think tried to not portray that out externally, but internally very angry, just mad at the world.
Well,
But everybody at home.
And
knew
previously
it.
you'd had an outlet.
Yeah.
Because working out
Yeah.
is so much of an outlet.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, and I'm not an athlete, but when I do work out,
Yeah.
And so did that kind of make it even?
Well, I had in the time of prior to that, the outlet was me. I had goals, competition goals. So this is coming up in December. That's coming up in July.
So
whatever.
it drove you.
I had something to
Yeah.
work towards.
Yes.
Whereas now I'm injured. I had nothing to work towards.
Right.
I felt.
Yeah.
I had full restoration to work towards. How long is that going to take? I don't know. Years.
It's interesting.
That's a massive time frame. It's just too broad. It wasn't focused or narrowed enough to.
Right.
In a way, if I'm looking back, if I had micro goals set, okay, by 3 weeks or 6 weeks, whatever it is, I want to be able to accomplish this or that.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to ask you.
That might have been better.
So going back, and that you just pretty much answered my question, but if you want to take it even deeper, looking back on that, and I think like just to be super transparent, like acknowledging that it takes two to put a relationship in a hard place. So no blame pushed on either one of you, because anybody that's human knows that it takes two. It doesn't matter. It takes two,
Yeah.
right? But I think one of the things that's really cool and is so helpful from your guys' journey is the candidness and the openness and the willingness to just be like, yeah, man, I could have done that differently. And that's one of the things about Nikki that I loved in the first season. She's like, yeah, I should have done this and this and this, and so cool. And I know you guys are just, you're very much one. You're very much a couple. You know what I mean? You guys very much embody like the truth in that aspect. And so looking back on that, Dave, like if you could go back and tell yourself and give yourself some little bits of advice, like right after that stroke, like knowing all the hards and everything and reverse engineer it, what would you have done different? The micro goals, you kind of started answering that, but just take that deeper, because that's so interesting.
Yeah. I'm not sure how to answer this, because I feel as you're asking that question, I remember remembering back to so many people that loved me, and I understand they're coming at it from, a place of love, and their hearts were pure on it. Just take it easy. Won't you just take it easy? Just, take a step back. Calm down. That is not who I am or wired. And I had exploited that. What's the word? The drivenness that I have, the drive in me. I exploited that to take me to that level. And so let's just turn that key off and put it away now.
Yeah.
I keep thinking back to that movie with Sylvester Stallone. It was filmed in BC. I think it's called First Blood. And he's he's a war vet, and he just can't turn it off. There's a scene in it where he just yells at his commanding officer, you don't turn it off. You just don't ever turn it off, sort of thing.
Yeah, and you can feel that.
I feel that immensely. Like I see that, I was like, yeah, I could not shut it off.
Yeah.
And I was just trying everything. I was grasping at everything to try to get that back going again, and it wasn't working. It frustrated me more, and then that made our relationship even that much
Because
harder.
what you were now grasping at wasn't even healthy things.
Yeah, then I started grasping at unhealthy things to fill in that gap, and
Yeah.
missing that dopamine hit I was.
But I think I know what you're saying, but even I'm going to go a little bit deeper than that. Reverse engineering it for both of us prior to even the stroke. Reverse engineering what. I mean, there's so many things. My daughter, she sent off a text that was very, very profound, and she sent it to both of us, and it was, I can't remember exactly how she put it, but it was post some of the stuff that had happened in our home post stroke. And she said, your foundation, basically, like your home was built on sand, not the rock. She was giving us the biblical version of had your home been built on the rock when the stroke happened, this all wouldn't have happened. It would have been hard, but you would have had a strong foundation. And so, talking about that foundation and it had broken very long before the stroke. And our foundation.
So the stroke was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, it was the straw that broke the camel's
exactly.
back.
And speaking to that, again, COVID, a lot of churches shut down. A lot of churches took different, views on attendance and this and that. So our attending church, it decreased a lot. Like we just stopped attending church. So we were missing out on that aspect of, our
the gathering,
our gathering
with
people. And we just weren't being fed in that way, and weren't doing anything about it.
And we chose not to do it in any other way.
Yeah, we just got lazy, and I think that's how the devil works. He just complacency, just take a day off, take a week off. Let's just take a month off from church.
Absolutely.
Let's just not go to church at all.
Everybody thinks that sin is like the horrific things.
Right.
Yeah.
And really
It's
it starts with these little tiny things, and it's so innocent, and it's so like mindlessly
It is mindless.
allowed, and
Yeah.
it's the mindlessness.
Yeah.
Sin is the lack of discipline.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we just lacked discipline in that area, and I started to lack discipline in every other area of our lives. And so that's, to start moving forward on it. In the last year or so, we've, just through lots of spiritual work and just realizing that when you do that, you give Satan a foothold, and there's strongholds that get put in place, and we had to overcome some of the strongholds that were in our lives. Both of us different ways. Our spiritual journeys are very personal, and but yet when you're married, your personal journey affects your spouse, obviously.
Absolutely.
And then you have a marriage spiritual journey as well. So
right, because it's the you and the me, but then there's the us.
It's a
and
union.
The us is a
three.
separate being. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know you want to go back to, we were going to talk about like how, this company I'm with now came in.
So, okay, let's play the timeline. So you had the stroke, and then after the stroke, you guys separated for some time.
It wasn't after the stroke. It was after some really, really
some events brought on possibly the stroke, and just the foundation being cracked.
Yeah.
So there was a series of events and things that had happened, and then you guys ended up separating.
Yeah, I moved out.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And so you had moved out, and but obviously knowing you wanted to restore the marriage and the relationship.
Well, no,
Not necessarily.
not at first.
Okay.
No. At first, when I moved out, it was, this is it. I have to move on, and I'm going to be doing life on my own and figuring this out. And it was then that God really got a hold of my heart, because it was like, slow down. I'm going to slow your life right down. And he did. I mean, this is when I look back at it now. I'm going to slow your life right down so that you can focus on me and that you can hear my voice. And so I spent.
So where were you business wise when you guys separated?
I was in a little business. I look at it now and I'm like, wow, like God opened up this cool little opportunity called Send It Academy. I'm just gonna say it because it was just like the best little thing that could have ever happened to me at that time. And I look back and I just see how God's hand was in it, because it was so simple it was so quiet, and it paid me enough money to pay my bills. Right? It just paid me enough money
Isn't
to pay
that
my
beautiful?
bills. Yeah.
Isn't that beautiful?
And I spent that time in a little basement suite. Me and my daughter lived together. And it was just like this time of like, God was just like, I'm going to slow your life right down. You're going to live on your bed. You're going to make your bed every morning. You're going to climb on it. It's going to be your office. And right beside it, I have a little office too. And I'm going to teach you how to surrender. I'm going to show you what it means to give your life to me. And that's where I spent 6 months.
Wow.
Quiet, in complete and utter, just God speak to me.
But doing what you knew how to do, isn't it cool just to look back and see God's provision?
Yeah.
And and maybe the provision isn't always and isn't forever. Maybe things change. Maybe we pivot. Maybe God brings new opportunities because he brought different opportunities.
He did.
And you've since pivoted.
But I couldn't have seen that opportunity or even been a part of it with where my heart was at.
Right.
With where I was at.
And let's just like pull this out and kind of extract this. That particular opportunity came into your life. It wasn't small potatoes. It wasn't like a little $2,000 to $3,000 a month gig.
No.
I mean, that's the power of the faith,
right?
And what God can do, right?
Yeah. No, for sure. And it was enough to pay bills at both houses.
Yeah.
You know, like that's what's amazing. But yet it was so quiet, and it was so I didn't have to be so active with people.
Yeah.
Because God really needed to quiet my soul.
He needed you to hear him.
He needed me to hear him. Because it'll be the first time I ever heard him.
Yeah.
In the 6 months that he pulled me aside to really actually hear him. And I have this little ring I wear on my finger. It says "Let Go, Let God," and it's a little $20 Amazon ring. And I saw it just before I moved out. And it was God's sign of like, okay, you're going to buy that ring and you're going to wear it. And it's going to remind me that I'm going to teach you this. I'm going to teach you how to let go and let me. I'm still learning.
Easy to say.
Easy to say, hard to do.
Easy to say, a lot
So
different
hard
to
to
implement
do.
every single day. Wow.
Every single day. And so, but it was the most beautiful, I think I'll look back on those 6 months as probably the most beautiful 6 months of my life.
Yeah.
Because he really taught me. You know, and to this day, I still, even every single morning when I wake up, those 6 months has led me to where I can actually spend time with him every single day and quiet my heart to listen to him. And that's where it happened for me that God said, no, we're not done. You're not done with Dave. This marriage is not done. I'm not releasing you. And I would be like so frustrated, like, God, why don't you release me from this marriage? And you wouldn't release me. And I knew.
Yeah.
He was not releasing me. I mean,
he wasn't done with your story. Yeah.
He wasn't done with this story. And so, you know, I'll just be honest, you know, I got on my hands and knees and decided to pray like I've never prayed before. And I didn't even know how to. So every single morning I'd be like, God, just teach me. Show me how to pray for this man. Show me how to pray for me. Show me what to do. And, you know, it was 3 solid weeks when we saw breakthrough. And it was during that time too that two different friends had mentioned to me that you and Dave, if you do decide, they're basically saying to me, if you do decide to take him back ever, I think you and Dave should do this something called Lamb. And it was in North Carolina, and I asked Dave if he'd go, and he said yes. And it was in February, and we went, and it was the start of a completely changed heart. I mean, my heart was already there, but it was the start of Dave going, okay, maybe there is, maybe you can explain it a little bit more, but where God started to work on your heart. Yeah,
I had the opportunity there to, again, share my story there in front of a larger audience. There's like 50 some couples or 100 people or so from all over North America, really. And we did some deliverance work there, spiritual deliverance work, which I had never been a part of anything like that before, but it was really, really powerful. And definitely the Holy Spirit got a hold of my heart. And, I feel like in an instance, things got changed.
And we'll link that in the show notes.
All of a sudden.
We'll link that Lamb stuff in the show notes so people can.
Yes.
We'll do that. Yeah.
They were great, yeah. They're based out of California, but they weren't hosted. When we first looked into it, we thought, yeah, that could be beneficial to us. And a mutual friend that we were both really doing some counseling and just some guidance work with, her and her husband had been through it years ago, and both of us individually had talked to her about this and strongly just encouraged us to take a look at that. And so we did. And the next one coming up was in just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, and we thought, well, let's just go there. You know,
Yep.
we can't wait till July or whatever it was, like
Right.
months later in,
Right.
in
Where it was going to be
California.
closer, yeah.
Yeah.
We need to work now. We're on in
Life support.
Life support.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so we did that and came back and just a new fire in our belly for one another, for our marriage.
But how amazing, because I think so many couples, and this is the thing about it, marriage is a commitment done before God.
Yeah.
And I think the fight, and I just want to point out the commitment for both of you to go do that. Because like you said, you had never done deliverance work. I'm sure you were a little bit like, a little, nervous, and what are we getting ourselves into? And
Yeah.
it's uncomfortable, and you're like,
Yeah, very
I'm kind of
uncomfortable.
tired of being uncomfortable. I'm just tired of being tired. And
Yeah.
But you knew there was something more to fight for. And so I want to very much commend you both. Because oftentimes, one or the other will really fight, but when two step up to fight, God can work with that. I mean, He can work with one, but man, it just makes it, so much more powerful. And
Yeah, no, I agree. But what I want to, say to some viewers that watch this, and my passion now is like, and I've shared this with a few women that I've got to have private conversations with, is like, you know what, you can fight even if your husband's not.
amen.
You can fight even if your husband's not, because I did for 6 months.
Amen.
He wasn't fighting. He was living his
Right.
own life. I sat and fought for it.
Yes.
And
you got in the trenches.
I
when
got
you
in the
went
trenches.
And that's okay. And I also want
But
to
it
point
started that way. But
Yes.
it didn't end that way.
It didn't end that way.
He got
And
into
that's-
it with me.
That's absolutely so true. And also you did it in a tiny little apartment on your bed, because I think sometimes people are like, well, I don't have a quiet place to pray. I don't have it, like they want to make up an excuse why they can't get in their knees and intercede and they can't do something on their behalf. But when two people are joined together in flesh, that there's no stronger person than that spouse to intercede for the other spouse.
Yeah.
And
That's what
case
God
in
was
point.
teaching me in this time.
Yes.
That you can intercede for him.
Yeah. Watch the movie The Prayer Closet.
Yeah.
Is that what it's
Yeah.
called?
It's War Room.
War room. Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
I watched the War Room, and this is and I created my own little War Room, and I actually didn't show it to Dave until maybe a month ago. But my War Room came home with me because it was the side of my end table, and I posted all my prayers on the side of my end table because that's where I would sit and pray.
Yeah.
And little did I realize that when I moved back
It
in
was
the
an
house,
altar.
it was my altar. And when I moved back into the house, I brought it with me. And then we watched the War Room one night, and I realized my War Room is right here. And I said, Dave, I want to show you something.
Oh,
I'm like, look, here's my War Room when I lived in the basement suite, and all my prayers were all there.
Wow.
And this just happened like maybe just before we came to Texas. But just God's so good that, and then during that time, so I want to share what God has done, what he did, so I was running that little business of Send It Academy, and it just provided enough to do what we needed to do. And
it was like your daily bread.
it was like my
Yeah.
100%.
Your daily
it was
bread.
like my daily bread.
Yeah.
It wasn't an abundance, but I didn't feel like I didn't have.
You had enough.
I had enough, and we had enough to go to Charlotte, to pay for our trip to Charlotte.
Wow, isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it was just we had enough. We had our daily bread, and during
It's almost like his promises are real.
they are
Amazing,
It's almost like his
amazing.
promises are real.
It's like they are just so real.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And then, in the worst of the worst, when I was living there, and this is like just backing it up just a little bit, because there's just another thing that God just did that was so crazy to me. But in the worst of the worst, when I thought my life was completely and utterly falling apart, I was crying and asking God to just show me. And it was before I started fasting. I saw a post on Facebook, and it was a girl talking about a product for another company. And do you know how many posts I see in a day of this? There was something,
Right.
and it never intrigues me or attracts me. And in fact, I was pretty happy with just my daily bread.
Yeah.
But yet there was something about this. I was like, I messaged her within 20 minutes. I was like, I need to look at this business. Right? I need to look at this business. And I didn't really know why, but it was like so strong. I needed to look at this business. So this is a girl that's not a networker. And I said, do you know anybody can you introduce me to somebody that I can talk to about the business aspect of this product? And she said, I'll find somebody. And so she found me somebody, and she gave me the Zoom link. And before I got on the Zoom link, For one, I heard, I'm going to return all that was stolen from you. And the other one was, I was like, God, if this is from you, make it very clear to me. I have no room for chaos. Just make this super clear to me. And so I jumped on a Zoom, and
I love that. I love that prayer.
Just
Make it so clear. I have no room for chaos.
Yeah, I have no room for chaos. I need to know.
Open the door or close it.
Yeah.
Make it easy to walk through or shut it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I'm good either way.
What a powerful prayer.
Yeah, I'm good either way. I don't have to do this, but I feel like this is coming from you. And I got onto that Zoom, and there was a man on this Zoom, and I hope he ends up watching this because he's changed my life. And his shirt said Kingdom. And his name was Terry. And so we were going to Zoom call together, and he was the number one income earner in this company. And I just said, stop. I don't even want to know anything yet. I said, what does kingdom mean to you? And he said, well, actually, and he stood up, and there's a Bible verse on his back. And he said, I'm a pastor out of Vegas. And he said, Nikki, I just don't do anything without kingdom work. And I was like, okay, thank you, Jesus. That was just like the answer that I needed.
What you needed, yeah.
That's what I needed. And then before I got on, I just heard, I'm going to return all that was stolen. And
that meant so much at this point.
And I'm in the bottom of the barrel. I'm at the bottom of the bottom.
Bottom of the bottom. Your marriage, which you had everything that you'd held dear, everything that you'd worked,
had fallen apart.
Your life's work, your legacy, you
Everything.
thought had completely just gone away.
Yeah, I wasn't sure I was ever going to be able to get it back, right? But during that time, I decided to lean in. God opened the door for this business, and I leaned in. And it was this is what I want people to hear, is like, people think that all the lights have to be green and everything has to look perfect to go and do something. But when God's behind it, and when you have a fire in your belly that God puts there, it was my biggest build, my quickest build, my fastest build, my biggest build, my most smooth build.
And this was your 7th company?
Yeah.
So you're telling me that you...
Yeah.
I mean, to debunk the myth again.
Yeah. Yep. And it was the most seamless, fun, peaceful
Wow.
build that I have ever done in the space of network marketing. And I'm still with that company today. It's a phenomenal place to be, but So
did you start that company before you and Dave had reconciled?
Yeah.
Or had you already gone to Lamb?
No, this is way before. This
Okay.
is probably a month.
I would say if it was October, Lamb was like February.
Oh, yeah.
Probably 4 months prior.
Yeah, 4 months prior. So
Okay.
this is like, it was the worst of the worst.
So
I had
it was about a
moved
year
out.
ago right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About a year ago right now.
About a year ago.
Okay,
I had
okay.
just
Little over
moved
a year,
out.
Yep.
Yeah, just moved out in the trauma of everything that was happening.
Yeah.
And that's when it came my way. And so, it was just, I guess I had been moved out for a couple months, and then it happened.
Yeah.
And everything was just perfect timing and how God aligned it. But what was more perfect is it was being able to do this with life being so chaotic, but yet God just ushered in something so peaceful for me. And such a peaceful build, and did return all that was stolen. And I'm not saying like money that was stolen, but so much was stolen from me. My home was stolen from me.
Yeah.
My spiritual was stolen from me. Like, there's so many things were stolen from me, and he returned things financially to me, but he also returned things with a company of just peaceful people, people that love the Lord and want to serve him, and the people that I've met through that, and just amazing.
It's really supernatural to looking back and just hearing you say the story again. I've heard it many times, but if you understand any big builders that have watched this or are watching this, you know what it takes to build a large team of 17, 19,000 people.
Is that how large your team is?
Mine's about 13,000 right now, I think.
Yeah,
But
13,000 people.
Wow,
It's a lot.
A lot.
You
Yeah.
know, to think of doing that when you're just wiped out, it's impossible. That's impossible tasks on our own. It doesn't.
On our own.
The numbers won't add up. There's no way of doing that on our own strength.
No.
So it's
so true.
just to be perfectly clear, we're giving credit to.
Yeah.
That's just God only.
Yeah. That's the only explanation that we have, and it's
Because
just
I was not a part. I was working full time. I had taken a full time job in a small construction company in our town, and I was doing that full time. That was I was off, living my own life sort of thing, and just not really supportive of her. Not even really aware of what she was doing until she told me months later, hey, I joined this company. This is going on. That's going on. And we had worked through, our friend and going to LAM, and then.
Were you surprised when you heard that she had started up another company and had success?
No, not surprised, but yet at the same time,
Your wife's like,
how many are we going to do?
Yeah.
These things, one of those things.
right. Because again, it comes with its own set of traumas, right?
It comes with a stigma, and I was like starting to be a naysayer of it all, but at the end of the day,
It's paid our bills.
it's paid the bills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this time around, the difference is I also prayed that God, like, if I don't keep my priorities straight, if I don't keep you number one, please take it. And,
But I think you actually live that out. I feel like
Yeah.
just as a friend who's got to be a bystander and seeing your story unpack, and we'd have our one-off conversations a couple times a year and stay in touch and whatnot. But it's really been cool to see you evolve in this journey, because both of you have always had this amazing countenance about you, and this amazing, like, you've always had God's, like, God on you. You know what I mean? Like, you carried that and you walked in that. But just to see this new kind of birthing that you both are walking in,
Yeah, that's what it's been.
It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful, and it's nothing short of divine power.
It is.
And
nothing
walking
short
in
of
that,
divine.
but walking into the dying of the flesh.
Yeah.
And
Dying
it's
of the flesh.
absolutely just awe-inspiring.
And I feel like, looking back at the journey, Dave was on his journey of it's all me. I'm going to do this. It's going to be me. And I was on the journey of it's all me. I'm going to do this. And God just had to, he didn't cause it, but he knew what was coming and what was
He
going to
allowed
happen.
it.
He allowed it.
Free
because-
will, right?
And it was a very traumatic events that happened, but he knew he was going to get to the heart of us so that we can be used for his purposes. Because
Right.
why are we here?
Right.
We're not here to become CrossFit champions and network marketer standing on stages making all this money. That's not what we're here for.
Right.
We are not here for that.
Right.
We can do that.
It's a vehicle.
It's a vehicle. We can do that.
It's a fantastic vehicle.
Right.
And we can use it.
We can totally use it. But if we're not using it, which we weren't, that's where it's that God was like, I've got to shake this and get a hold of them.
Ooh,
and,
shake it. That's a good thing. Yeah.
And would I wish my last 2 years on anybody, or my last 3 years? Never. But would I wish it away? Nope.
Right.
Nope. I wouldn't. As hard as it's been, and still some days it's hard, but it's completely and utterly changed me, and I'll forever be grateful, because I will never see, for one, in my businesses, I don't ever see people the same. I see them as who knows what they're going through. Most people didn't know what I was going through because I was so quiet. And I don't know what people are going through, right? And that's more important than the money that they're going to make me.
Well, I think it's important also to call out too, like, when you were going through this, like, probably, like, what happens is when we're going through the hardest of our hard personally, we tend to get the most attacks.
Oh, yeah.
Like, so then other side attacks and naysayers and people and words and just things kind of tend to come at you too. So it's never just like one thing.
No.
It's all the arrows.
Yeah.
And so it's never just, and I remember just having a conversation, you telling me about a lot of those external attacks that were coming
so
on.
much.
It was like you had enough to deal with, like you both had enough to deal personally, and then the external attacks from
stuff.
other people who had no clue, just taking it personal. And you're like, this has nothing to do with persons. I'm
just trying to
grasp
survive.
a breath. I'm taking it one breath at a
time.
One day at a time. I'm taking it one breath at a time today. I'm so sorry that I forgot to do X, Y, or Z, or I didn't show, or
Yeah.
And I know you've shared with me some of those, and so so you guys are reconciled now, and you guys are on a beautiful journey. Like, it's so cool to see you guys like living.
Yeah. Well, we got back from LAM and we decided.
So when was LAM? It was in February
and
of 2025.
Going there, it was like, okay, we're either gonna go this way or we're gonna go that way.
Like, you were at a crossroads.
Apart or together. We came back and chose together, so
I moved it back
she
in.
moved straight back in, and
So right after that. You moved right back. So you were like, but it doesn't surprise me, because one of the things I feel like you both were really great at was that collapsing time. And when we walk in God's abundance and God's will, we are able to collapse time and kind of really move at those quantum speeds.
So and then just decided, okay, we're gonna new patterns, new habits.
Yeah, it hasn't been easy. Like, well, I'm not
No.
going to say it's been an easy journey because
Well-
this journey, this
Well, you're empty
healing
nesters.
journey-
You're empty nesters now too.
Yeah.
So the kids are gone.
Yeah.
And before the kids were still kind of lingering.
Yeah, we had 2 kids that still lived at home during all
Right.
of
And
this.
Satan doesn't want to let us go out of his grips easily, so
No.
he's been
No.
hitting hard and heavy, and so we're having to work through that and realizing, you know, we have the power in Jesus to put him away, and we've had to work that.
Yeah,
and
we've had to work
practice it. Daily devotions
Every
and,
day.
Yeah.
Every day, it's like, yeah, God doesn't promise us tomorrow. He promises our manna today. We have
Yeah.
to take it today,
Yeah.
right? And that's what I'm.
can't
That's
store
what
up your
I'm
peace. You
learning.
can't store up your
store
peace.
it.
Yeah.
No,
It'll go bad.
It will, and so I'm learning that. Actually, I would say in the last. We came to Texas here for the winter, so that's why we're here, but not right here, but in somewhere in Texas for the winter. But it was here that it was like really put on my heart that it's like you have to get up every morning, and your first hour to 2 is going to be spent. It has to be spent with God, because I was noticing the peace I didn't have in the day, right? And it was like it was reiterated to me, and I was reminded that you have to. You don't turn your phone on, you don't turn anything on. You go sit and you grab your Bible, and that's what I have to do every single morning. And so it's like, I never, ever have done that in my life. I'm 53 years old. I was born and raised in a Christian home, went to a Christian school myself, raised my kids in Christian school, and didn't understand that. Many people told it to me, but I didn't understand it. And until you go through something, trauma or really hard times, I don't think you really get it.
Some people tend to go back into the crisis Christian mode.
Right.
When they're in a crisis and they seek God, and then when they're out of the crisis, they stabilize.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
they
thanks.
come off life
We're good
support,
now.
and then they put God back in the box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I did that for a little bit.
Yes.
And then I realized, okay, that's what I've done. I put God back in the box. I'm like, and he's reminding me all the time, no, that's not where I belong. It's like, I get your first fruit. And so that's what I've been. It's changed everything for
So
me.
what is some of the new, I guess, new wine, if you will, like a Bible,
wine.
like what are some of the
New
new
wine
wines?
skins.
What are the new things you guys are implementing? Because I think that it's important to call those things out. Because I think people think that it's like some monumental daily like change. And it's probably not. It's probably really simple, small.
Yeah.
We never used to pray together.
No.
No, we prayed together
Yeah.
morning and night.
At least twice a day.
Yeah.
We have a couple devotionals that we read in the morning. We read the Bible together, and you know, if we miss a day, we know it. It's been a tough day if we've missed a day.
We've been going through Proverbs every day. There's 31 Proverbs, one for every day of the month.
Wow, that's
And so
fantastic. Yeah.
going
Every
through that-
single day we do
We've
it.
gone through that
Probably
for-
3 months.
for about 3 months now, so probably 3, maybe 4 times through Proverbs together.
Let me tell you, if you want to know what you're not doing,
Read Proverbs.
read Proverbs.
Amen to
Yeah.
that.
It will
All
enlighten.
your secret to success is right there.
Yeah.
Your business advice, your financial, marital, everything's right there.
Everything. Borrowing money, saving money.
Borrowing
all of
money,
it.
saving
Everything
money,
in the
everything.
Proverbs.
All
Yeah.
the clues are right there.
We'll
Yeah.
link that in the show notes too.
Yeah.
Just
There is
happens to be written by the wisest man that ever
Yeah.
outside of Jesus on earth.
Yeah.
I actually will put this in there. There's an app called DAB, DAB, and it's a Bible. It's an app that reads the Bible to you, and there's a Proverbs in there. There's Psalms in there for every single day, and it's what we use, and it reads it to us. But it's my counselor during all of this time. She got me onto the DAB app, and it's phenomenal. And so it's
Okay, I have a question for you, Dave. So when Nikki was in the throes of her like fighting for your marriage, and I mean, first of all, I'm sure that's to have a woman that loves you that much has got to be pretty cool, right?
Yeah, that's
I mean,
cool.
I'm like feeling like I don't know,
Yeah.
pretty freaking cool, and I can see it both ways. So, what was the moment like when she invited you to go to Lamb? What was it that made you say yes? Because that's because you're a man's man.
I knew I had to break the pattern, and I wasn't going to just exit off that freeway. I had to like take a hard right, left, whatever you want to call it. But I had to do a U-turn, and so that was it for me. Just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah, just do it.
And you have a lot of mental strength, anyways, from just everything you've ever
Yeah,
done in
maybe
your
that
life.
that
You've
factored
built that
into it.
muscle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The one you can't see.
I've done hard things and not died. Just about died, but not fully died. So I thought it's not going to kill me.
And if it does, it'll be.
Yeah, I've been there before.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think in some ways, actually, that is, all honesty, that is maybe a bit of the good I take out of having the stroke. you know, being that close to catastrophe. You know, the other thing I throw in there we forgot to mention is almost a year exactly, 10 months after my stroke, we were in a near fatal accident.
Car accident.
High speed collision on the highway, totaled off a truck and a holiday trailer.
You guys were in the
Yes.
accident? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ended up breaking my back. Yeah, this is like the things.
Oh, wow.
All the
It's
things.
just
Our
one thing
dog
after
died. We had to put our dog down that year.
You broke
like
your
all
back?
the
Yeah,
things.
that's a
Yeah.
pretty extreme.
All the things that have
She
could
broke
have
the one
happened.
vertebrae in her back that has no nerves going through it, so
Oh, well, that
Crazy
was
as
lucky.
that.
obviously
Whatever that
she's
is,
not
yeah.
in a lot of
Wasn't in a
discomfort.
lot of pain. Yeah,
Wow.
but yeah, it was just a year of or a couple of years of just complete chaos.
Yeah.
Felt like Job there a little bit,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
without losing completely everything. But
Yeah. Yep.
we got hit quite a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So now you are currently still with this company that you're
Yeah.
with. You've had it's been a divine power. It's the biggest company to date that you've ever grown, correct?
Yeah, it's a small company, but it's the
Small company,
largest
but
team I've ever grown.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
It's a very significant
Financially, the best paycheck we've ever made.
paycheck, right?
You know, so it's just been a gift from God that just was, you know.
Well, and I think it's a testament to, and people get real funny about money and God's blessings, but I think there's so much power to understand when you absolutely walk in God's will and His purpose for your life. You can't you can't imagine the blessings in God's economy.
Yeah.
And He doesn't, and I think it goes back to our previous conversation. Money is just an energy. It's just a tool.
Just a tool.
And when you learn to quit idolizing it and you learn to steward it,
Yeah.
then and there's so much lessons to be extracted from this wealth of just beautiful story that you guys have shared. But I think that's the biggest thing to take away is like there is absolute,
Yeah.
like you can absolutely have everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Living in God's purpose and God's will doesn't mean it'll be easy. That doesn't mean that you won't struggle. But if you keep on pushing through, wow, you guys have such an amazing story.
It's so true. If you just, and at the end of the day, it could be taken from me and I'd be okay.
And I think that's
I'll be okay.
I think
Like that's
that's
what I
the-
love. Like I actually have this peace now that if it's taken, you know, as long as I'm stewarding what I have now, well, God's going to take care of it. He's going to take care of it. You know, we sat with some friends the other day, and this just keeps coming to my mind because they're a younger couple, and they were asking, "What's it like to make that kind of money?" I never even told them how much we make, but I must have assumed what we make or whatever. But what's it like to make that kind of money? And I could see that they have an amazing marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to them, "Not as nice as that." Because I know what the opposite is like.
so protect that.
Protect that.
At
Don't
all
worry about the
costs.
money, right?
Yeah.
Like, go and pursue what you want to pursue, but protect that at all costs. Because that's better than any amount of money you would ever have in the world. Way better than any amount of money you'd ever have. And so that's really how I feel now. You know, I'm not walking around looking for business partners anymore like I used to. I'm walking around trying to encourage people to pursue God first, because the rest will come. If that's his will for you, right? And yeah, it's just it's such a more beautiful way to live life.
Okay, parting thoughts, Dave?
Yeah, just same thing. You know, money isn't everything, but it is right up there with oxygen. You know, as far as you can do so much more with it.
Yeah, it's just
we-
really inconvenient to not have
Yeah,
it.
it's inconvenient. Yeah, life has got less options when you don't have it. But it's again allowing God to guide you on what are the best options, what are the right options to choose when you do have some money and some funds. And we've been able to tithe more than we've ever done to bless others in different ways. And we have once a week we'll do what do we call it again? Tipping night. Well, going out for dinner, we're gonna sometimes just tip the entire bill, like double it, and every single time, it's been the single mom, college student.
Yeah.
We don't know who we're gonna get for a waiter that day, but they get the blessing.
Yeah. Wow.
Just like God.
Always ask about them and who they are, and
Yeah. That's amazing.
Those are kind of more memorable moments than standing on a podium.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's fun.
Wow. That's so cool. Well, thank you guys for being here today.
thanks for having us.
And thank you for being
Krystal.
on the simulcast.
I'm so excited that we got to be here. This is my very first one I've ever done.
So honored to have you guys and get this out. And you guys, like we said, Lindsay was here in spirit and we missed her today, but so grateful for Nicky and Dave Rempel to be here. And you guys can't tell, but we've got their little puppy dog right down
yeah,
here.
he's
too.
down here. We've been petting him, keeping him happy.
So, anyways, thank you guys for being
Thank
here.
you,
and
my
Thank you.
friend. Love you.
Wow, what an honor to be able to sit down with Nicky and Dave Rempel, two people that I have just absolutely enjoyed a friendship and a relationship with over the last decade. Their commitment to being raw and authentic to their story and to who they are, and to be honest about the places that God has led them is absolutely inspiring. And I appreciate you guys listening to this, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to really just let their journey sink in. Because this is one of those stories that but God. And that's the only way. And so I just want to give a special thank you to my friends, Nicky and Dave, for trusting me to interview them and to bring this story to life. And Lindsay, what a cool thing to have them as our first podcast guests. So talk a little bit about the resources and...
Yeah, so we're super excited because, like we've talked about, we have our Untangle journal. It's something that'll walk you through if you're walking through something similar, or even if it's not the same thing and you just know you have something that's heavy, you're carrying, it's just, you feel the junk. It's a great resource, and we're really excited about what's going to be coming from a guest perspective moving forward. So we talked about this when we started the first episode, but we want to make sure you guys know kind of the trajectory of where the podcast is going. And so Krystal and I, we're going to be here. We're going to have, we call them solo podcasts, which is both of us anyways, but you're going to have lots of just us, and then we're going to keep bringing different people like this into this space. And so we have a pretty good stack already ready to go. And so you'll be seeing those trickling in. And we're just so excited that we get the opportunity to share these incredible people with you. And as always, we want your feedback. I will say we've gotten some podcast feedback through the podcast catcher, and we can't see who you are, and we can't see what you're like. We can see what you're saying, but I can't reply to you. So if you're going to give us feedback, we'd love to have you guys give us a review. But more than anything, well, that would be great. Please do that. And then by all means, like, our inboxes are open to you. So whether you use social media, you can find us from the Simplified Success Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, or Krystal or I personally. We want to know what you guys think. We want to hear how it's going. And if you're going through the journal, you're going through that process, get into our Simplified Success community. That has a ton of other education in there, tons of other resources, tons of other amazing people, but we're in there a lot. So if you guys have questions, if you want feedback, if, man, you just want to go in there and just ask for help, like that space is our free gift to you, and a place where it's very near and dear to our heart. We keep it safe, so if people aren't acting appropriately or it isn't a safe place, they'll be removed. So we're very serious about that space. But man, we would love to have you in there, and we'd love to have you engage with us in there. So please, by all means, connect with us all the ways. Make sure you're subscribing to the podcast, because what we have coming down, if you thought this was great, like, they're amazing. And all of our other speakers and the other guests we're going to bring on are at the same caliber. Those of you that are in TBA, you already have your backstage pass. You already have Nicky's video live, so you can go watch it if you haven't had a chance to check that out. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, TBA is The Builder Academy. It is a place for you, whether you're building your life, your business, or your legacy. There is tools, resources, and support. That's really where we walk alongside people. We do implementation calls, but specific to this podcast, they get backstage passes to hear content and information that was curated specifically for them from those guests. And so there's some really crazy actionable things that Nicky shared that are specific for our TBA members. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to that, get over to your backstage pass. If you go into your Facebook group, go into the guides, you'll see it right there. And if you haven't had a chance to join TBA, it is going up in price at the end of December. So depending on when you're listening to this, you can join at any point. But if you've been on the fence, now is the time. So you can check that out in the show notes. We're super excited to have you guys on the podcast always, and we can't wait for you guys to see what's coming next. So we hope you guys have a great day. Yeah, we'll talk to you soon.
Bye. I'm Krystal Blackard.
And I'm Lindsay Reynolds.
We're seekers of truth, willing to ask the hard questions and cut through the industry smoke.
On Simplified Success, the podcast, we strip sales and marketing down to what actually works, front end to back end, so you can scale without the burnout.
Because real growth isn't just about numbers. It's about optimizing how your business runs so you can grow yourself, grow your paycheck, grow your team, and grow your leadership.
And most importantly, making it all happen without the fluff or the chaos.
This is Simplified Success.